So you want to become a professional nature filmmaker? I will show you 2 ways you might choose and also give you some insights into my own path. My name is David Cebula. I'm a professional nature filmmaker from Germany, and on my channel I share insights into my work. I talk about gear and you get to see some of my documentaries. If you don't want to miss this, feel free to follow the channel by subscribing. So how to become a nature filmmaker? To answer this question, I have to make a short disclaimer. There is a difference between nature filmmaker and a nature cameraman. So let me shortly explain the difference. A cameraman is working for a production company, often as a freelancer and often only for a single project. And as a cameraman, you don't produce, write or edit projects. This is the job of the producer, director or editor. As simple as it sounds, as a cameraman, you film just the project. You are the director of photography, but you are depending on the screenplay, the shooting schedule, etc. of others. As a cameraman, you're not responsible for the financing, scheduling or logistics of the whole project, but you are responsible for your department. So being a cameraman for nature documentaries, you are following the more like traditional way of film production, where you have different departments with their heads and their responsibilities. But to be honest, in nature documentary productions, the departments are often not bigger than 1, 2 or 3 persons. A filmmaker, in the opposite, in general combines in a professional way more than one discipline and more than one position in one person. So as an example, one of my most favorite filmmakers is Peter Jackson. And he works in a lot of films as the author, director and producer together. When you work as a filmmaker in nature productions, it is, in comparison to a big Hollywood or Auckland production, more common that you produce, write, direct, film and edit project all together. So you and just a few others have the responsibility for the whole project or the main parts of the project. But you don't have to do this all alone. You can also work as a filmmaker in a team and you can share some of the tasks or give some departments to others. So being a filmmaker don't necessarily mean you have to do everything alone. So at first, on your path to become a nature filmmaker, you have to decide to want to be really a nature filmmaker or you want more to be a nature cameraman. Because I'm a nature filmmaker and not a cameraman only, I will now focus in this video more on this part. Still, there are many similarities, so if your goal is to become a cameraman for nature documentaries, you might find some help in this video too. So before you start your path, I think you have to check your expectations, because you can put a lot of effort into a master's degree or film school, but in the end you need to make a reality check. Is being a nature filmmaker really what you think it is? And maybe I can give you some idea. As a nature filmmaker, you will have great moments with crazy gear in nature, with phenomenal landscapes, rare animals and a lot of adventure and filming with really a lot of cool gear. But there will be also a lot of days you spend hours and hours in the hot sun and you will not get a single shot to show for it. So is this something you can do? You will depend on weather conditions a lot. And you will probably work on weekends and national holidays when other people are resting. You will spend a lot of time outdoors in the rain, in a tent surrounded by mosquitoes. And you have to be awake very early until night, and this for weeks. And depending on the project, you might be required to travel a lot. So this might sound cool for you to travel a lot, but in the end you have to ask yourself, is this something that also matches with your future plans and with your maybe family plans and something? So does this fit into your life? And something that a lot of people forget, when you work as a filmmaker, not as a cameraman, you have to do a lot of office work too. So usually when we pre-produce films, we work days and weeks on project proposals, the main concept of the film, the screenplay and the story, the color concept, and almost most importantly, on the financing of the project. And after finishing shooting in nature, we spend again usually months or even years inside the editing room to finish the project. So when someone hears that you are a nature filmmaker, they often say, ah, really cool, then you must be outside in nature all time, 24 hours, 7 days a week. But as you know now, this is just half of the truth. And this is the same like working outside while shooting, you also work a lot in these times. Usually we work around 10 hours a day, often on weekends, and we don't have holidays. So when you've checked all your expectations and have in mind what I told you now, and you're still on your path to become a nature filmmaker and you love all about it, you are sure this is what I want to do for a living, that's great. Then you have usually 2 different paths to become a nature filmmaker. Either you have a professional training in film, for example by going to film school or university, or you have a scientific background by studying biology or something similar. The third option would be to learn both parts, so film school and the biology studies by yourself. So let's start with the path film school or film university. You become a professional in filmmaking by studying at film school or university. Here you choose, for example, camera as your main subject, but you also have to study which specific gear you need for wildlife filming, and you might apply for your first jobs in this niche to get on-set experience. When you choose film school as your main educational path, then you have to spend a lot of additional time in nature and study wildlife. So, simple saying, you have to do your biology and ecology studies by yourself. And my advice is, spend time outdoors and observe, search for certain species, read books, visit talks and museum exhibitions, and most importantly, I think get in touch with experts, with species experts and researchers. But also write field notes about your observations. Try to participate in scientific projects. But what's important, don't limit yourself to knowledge about animals only. So if you study biology at university, you will also have courses about chemistry, statistics and all of the other parts of the ecosystem. And this is something you also have to learn beside your film school. And you have to learn techniques that are not related to camera work. So for example, how to use a GPS and how to work with maps. So you have to learn how to navigate, how to read a physical map with a compass, and also how to use map services online and offline, for example QGIS. The second path you can choose, an opposite, is the biology and science path. So you might decide to study biology or ecology and develop a certain interest in this field. So you focus and specialize in your studies, but you have a passion for film. So in addition to your studies, you have to focus on learning everything about filmmaking. And you have to put a lot of time and effort into learning all about how to make good films. So try to participate besides the biology studies in different film projects. Observe, study, ask questions, and of course watch a lot of YouTube videos like tutorials, study your gear and learn everything you can about filmmaking. And the last one was also my own way. I studied biology for my bachelor and ecology for my master's degree. And between my bachelor and my master's degree, I took 1 year off to work on different film sets. And I did a lot, from small, no-budget independent projects to productions for German television. And this was not limited to documentaries. This was mainly fictional projects. And I used every second there to ask the other members on set anything and everything you can imagine. I made photos of a lot of the gear at the set, and after 12 hours of working on set, I was sitting in the hotel room and doing research about the different gear components at the set and what they are used for, why they use especially this part or this part of the gear. I wanted to learn as much as possible and soaked everything in. And there I also learned how to make good scheduling, how to work in different departments and how set communication works, and so much more. Later then I worked for one of the most famous German wildlife filmmakers, and there I learned a lot about wildlife documentaries. And finally I did my first own film, a nature short documentary. But also after this first big own project, I worked as a production manager, as an assistant director in multiple projects, just to learn as much as possible. And my learning from all these project was do not limit yourself to camera work in documentaries only. If you really want to become a nature filmmaker, not only a cameraman, you always have to think about what I said before. The film industry is highly professionalized, and so you can try to learn from all the professions when you want to combine them. So you need the skill set of a filmmaker. What means you might be the director of photography, the screenwriter, the editor, the producer. You do the sound and the lights, and you need to study your gear. But now you want to ask yourself maybe how to get the experience and to build a portfolio. And in Germany, for example, we have a platform called Crew United database. There you have projects with call for applications and where they always search for members for their crews. In the USA, there is a platform called Backstage, I think, but you can also do your research what other platform there might be for your specific country you're living in and you want to work in. And these projects are really good to gain experience in bigger productions. You can learn a lot from the different departments, and as I said, the projects don't have to be necessary nature documentaries. My first productions, for example, where I worked were all narrative stuff for television, like crime, comedy, drama and other stuff. And when you work on the sets, do not get stuck on learning from others and collecting side projects for your portfolio. But most importantly, make your own projects. And this might sound simple, but a lot of people struggle right at this point. They talk about how they want to do something, but they never do it. Or they start it, but they never finish it. So my advice is, find a topic you are passionate about. Choose something that really suits your resources. And by that I mean your time, your money and your expertise. The latter is something you can improve by learning more about your topic, but this will also again affect how much time you have to actually film outside. So for your first project you might want to choose a species that you can film really close to your hometown, because you don't have to travel then thousands of miles just to learn and do your first project. For example, for my first film I picked wild orchids as my target species. They are very rare and endangered, but close to my hometown there are areas where they occur plenty. And also for me was important, plants don't move. So it was easier than starting with a wildlife topic where you maybe have very shy and rare animals to film. And then when you have your topic, give yourself a deadline and a specific task you want to work on. Then you have to produce that project, and at the end make a show reel or a trailer, build up your own website and then publish it to the world. So to sum this up, if you want to become a nature filmmaker, you have usually two paths you can follow. You can start with a professional education in science or in filmmaking. Either way, you should try to learn as much about the other field as possible. Try to gain as much experience in both fields as possible and build up a portfolio and start making your own projects. And then I think you are on the best way to become a nature filmmaker. I really hope you learned something in this video. Is there something you are more interested about in this process, like how to start and setting up your first own project? Let me know in the comments below. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and see you in the next one. Bye bye.